Do you really understand just how amazingly powerful you are in creating your own reality? Today on Elevate, we're going to talk about the power of the I am presence and just how it works in our lives. It's something that many spiritual teachers for eons have spoken about. And Kristen's going to join us. We're on Elevate on the United Public Radio Network, and it's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. Welcome to Elevate, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. I'm KAren Swain, your host, and you're listening on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio all over the world. G'day. Welcome to another show. I was going to say accentuating the positive. Where am I? Elevate. Elevate on the United Public Radio Network. Now, why can't I get Kristen? Oh, there we go. I've got to add you to the stage. Did you get in?
I'm in.
I'm in.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. If you're listening, thank you, Caroline. If you're listening, for helping me get logged in on a different computer. Thank you.
So to log into this platform that we're using to stream on the internet, we have to rely on Michelle to send us a code. We can't do it ourselves, so we had a few glitches this morning. But she's in, so she can monitor your beautiful comments. Who's here with us? Hello.
Hi,
how you all doing today? The beautiful Vladdy in Germany. Up, it's like midnight there. We're doing well. Hope you're not too tired, Vladdy. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the I am presence. Kristen and I always say after every Elevate show, what are we going to talk about next week? And I'm like, I don't know. But I always rely on the universe to tell me. Like, there's a million things we could talk about. You know, pick one. So I always rely on the universe to, like, show me something to talk about. And a friend on Facebook sent me this through Messenger, focus on your I am presence. And I'm like, that's what we're going to talk about this week. What does it say at the bottom there? Relentlessly reorientate your consciousness towards your I am. Yeah, look, I heard about the I am presence many times when I was facilitating the Academy of Light when I was in my 30s. So we would do a weekly, a weekly gathering. We would gather in person, and I would introduce a guest, a bit like I do on the ATP media shows, and we'd do a meditation together, and we'd hear the guests do their talk, and then we'd have tea and biscuits afterwards. Lovely. They're still going. It's had a few different owners since then, because it's been going for, probably 28, 30 years. I'm not sure how long. It's been going for a while.
Wow.
It was 20 years ago when I was facilitating it. Yeah, and it's been going for about 9 or 10 years then. But anyway, and so many of the spiritual teachers spoke about the I am presence and, in a reverent, divine way, the power of the I am presence. And I really didn't understand it until I fully dived into deliberate creation and what it means to be the creator of your own reality. That really explained the I am presence to me. So I want to explain it to people listening on the show today. What does the I am presence mean to you, Kristen?
I knew you were going to ask me, and I've been thinking how to describe it, because often it comes in like I am and who I am and I am what I am, but I know that it is more of a connection to source, and that we are all one, and it's the great I am. And so when I work myself to connect with something like that, I generally go more to my higher self, which I know is connected to it all much more better than this earthly 3D body. But I'm excited to do this show because I don't really know that much about how to describe it. Because, when things get super, reverent and very like how you described it before, it reminds me a little churchy, and I'll turn off.
You kind of switch off, because of your background.
Yeah,
no,
and I
get
don't like
it.
that. And so
I get it. I remember when, we had, how long did I do the academy? Probably for about 5 years. And we had many teachers pass through. A lot came from overseas, and listening to their talks and talk about the I am, a lot of it was very elusive. And somebody sent me an Abraham Hicks CD back in the days of CDs. And I remember listening to the CDs and just going, oh my God, this is the first time all the puzzle pieces have fallen into place, because every teacher would have a different puzzle piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was all beautiful and divine and gorgeous. And to the new awakening mind, it all sounds fascinating, but it didn't exactly make a lot of sense in my life. Like, how do I make that sense? So I want to quote Henry Ford. Henry Ford was the motor vehicle guy. He says, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you will be right. And to me, that is a really practical way of describing the I am presence. So it's all about your belief system. When we say, I'm not feeling well today, I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, and we constantly talk about ourselves. We're very self-focused in this third dimensional experience. We're constantly talking about, I'm this, I'm that, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm not good at this, I'm not good. Like, the I am presence is so potent in our lives. It actually reveals our limiting or unlimiting belief structure around who we believe we are. So, hey, from Denmark, g'day. Get back to the thought. Yeah, it's revealing what we believe about ourselves. We talk about constantly we spoke about it during the conditioned, what was the name of that show? The PSYOP show we did, the conditioned mind. So the conditioned mind is when we're young, we have we're very open, and a lot of the things that we're told just go straight into our subconscious mind and become a part of our operating system, or the conditioned mind. And the I am presence is the way that you can find out what is in your subconscious mind. I remember when I was studying years ago, a lot of people said, you can never tell what's in your subconscious mind. It's only your conscious mind that you're aware of. You're not aware of your subconscious programming or your subconscious beliefs. And I thought about that and listened to, as you do, listen to spiritual gurus and teachers. Mm-hmm. But when you listen to people talk, they're constantly revealing what they believe, their subconscious programming, constantly. And the I am presence is how we're revealing it. Like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. Spiritual teachers, like back then, talked about it in a divine way. Mm-hmm. You said it's the connection to my higher self. Like, you went to a conference, right? A whole conference called the I Am. What was the conference called?
Well, I didn't actually go to that conference, but it was a conference that went on for a couple years. I believe it was put on by a woman locally here in Salt Lake City, but she would go to Vegas to put on this conference, to Las Vegas, which is like 6 hours away. And it was called the I Am Conference. And and that's where I obtained this I Am drum, which was the first drum I ever bought when I came out, of the church and into my more spiritual, but not religious life, So I could tell you about the drum if you want to hear about it, but
yeah, we'll get into the drum in a minute. Yeah. I want to stay on this train of thought. So people are talking about the I am, the I am, the I am, the I am presence all the time. And they talk about it in this divine way. So really, we're not our beliefs or our subconscious programming. We're not our body. We're not our thoughts. We're not our gender. All that stuff. We are source energy. We are a spark of consciousness. We are an extension of infinite intelligence, of source light, if you like. And that's sort of talking about the I am. When you really know who you are and you connect to that, then you find your identity in that, rather than your identity in who you believe yourself to be, based on the way you grew up, based on your conditioning, based on your subconscious programming, and based on what who society says you are.
Can I add this thing that Vladi put up? It says, when I tried to use the I am formula, it feels like I'm lying because I'm saying things that I want to program to myself, to program myself.
Yeah.
So that's what he says.
And then he says, I have to change my intention.
Yeah, after what you
Mindfully listen and try to understand, not just to respond. Heidi's saying here, to mindfully listen. Well, deliberate creation is a moment by moment, day by day process of being aware of your awareness. Like this says, the awareness shift. Like your awareness is really the awareness of who you really are, the awareness of your I am presence or your higher self is really how we are the creators of our reality. And most of us are completely unconscious of how we speak about ourselves and what we believe to be true. It's just a program that's running like a broken record, and we're just repeating it, and we don't even think of what's flying out of our mouths. I remember thinking about this, when they said, oh, the subconscious mind, you can't, unless you go into hypnosis, you go to a therapist, and then you go to hypnosis, you can access the subconscious programming. And I thought to myself, it's flying out of your mouth all the time. When I was young and hanging out with girls, talking about boys and boyfriends and things as you do. And, girls that have bad relationships, and then they'd complain about their bad relationships, and they'd be desperate to have some man fall in love with them, male or female, whatever gender, works for you. Insert that into this story.
That only happens when we're young? What?
Okay, and old. But anyway,
I'm teasing you, but keep going.
And then what flies out, it's like, I so want to be in love. I want someone to love me. And then it's like, but all men are bastards. Aren't all men bastards? And, what are you saying? So you're saying all men are bastards. That's what you believe. Or people are going to rip you off, or people lie to you, or I'm never supported. I'm never appreciated. I never get appreciated. I'm like, listen to what flies out of your mouth. It's revealing your subconscious programming, and the I am presence is such a potent part of this. Like, I am good enough. I am not good enough, to quote Henry Ford. If you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you will be right. Yeah. Because your beliefs create your reality. Yeah, go on. What do you want to say?
Well, I was just going to say it's reminding me of the term, the language of increase. So I had a shift many, many years ago where I just started speaking in the language of increase, changing like as simple with my children, don't forget your shoes. Don't forget your shoes. Well, then they're going to forget their shoes. But if I said, remember your shoes, then they would remember their shoes. And I read that in a parenting magazine when my kids were little, and it stuck with me. And so it's changing the whole thing. So like, maybe I'm wandering around the house trying to get out the door, and I can't find my keys. And I go, where are my keys? Where are my keys? When I find them, I go, thank you I'm so glad I found my keys. Instead of, oh, I'm such a mess, I can't find my keys. I just go, where are you? Oh, thank you. And I know it sounds corny, but that's how I speak now. In fact, somebody will say, I'll say, oh, hi, KAren Swain. And you'll be like, it's KAren Swain. And I'll go, thanks for correcting me, instead of, I'm sorry, KAren, And I'll say, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like those kinds of things, along with, like mantras, and I don't use them in a way like Vladi does, to try and feel like I'm not myself. I love, what Blossom Goodchild's, with her team. I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth. Right. To me, that's I am presence. And then I combine that.
It's making a statement of the truth of who you are. I am the light, I am the truth, I am the love. It is making a statement of who you are. And when you're running programs that said, I'm not the light, I'm not the love, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm this, I'm that, I'm hopeless, I'm sorry. Like when you're running those programs and then you make the statement like Valerie says, I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth. It doesn't feel like your truth, right? Because what's running is a program. So when you're aware of the program running, rather than making statements of the opposite of it, you have a chance to change it, but incrementally, so that what you're stating under the I am presence feels true to you. When you put emotional energy in motion, when you put emotion behind words, and you do that repeatedly, it becomes a part of your operating system. It becomes a part of your subconscious programming. As a child, when you're told things as a child, because most of us as kids, we run in a theta brainwave, theta Australian accents, theta American accents. I actually like theta to say theta better than theta. But anyway. And so things that you're told just go straight into your subconscious programming. And then when we grow up, we start to get more into our alpha, beta brainwave. We start to push back, become more logical, argue. Teenagers, you've had teenagers, they've grown out of the teenager. They start to argue with you instead of just like, oh, yeah, mummy, you're right about everything. It's like, no, you're wrong. So you move out of the theta, which is like psychic sponge. That's why children are so psychic. They're just this psychic sponge into a more logical, argumentative mindset. And so there's a filter. There's a filter to accessing the subconscious programming, accessing the subconscious mind. And that filter is your resistance. So if you work with that filter rather than trying to believe that filter doesn't exist, if you work with that, then you can access the subconscious programming and you can change the program. So I remember thinking about this back in the days where I was listening to a lot of Abraham. I was probably in my late 30s, early 40s, and thinking about how exactly what you said before, how my mother used to talk to us. Like when we were kids, we used to go to my grandfather's swimming pool and swim in it. Still memories I love today. But there was a lot of screaming and yelling because it's dangerous. Kids running around, they're wet, they're slippery. And mummy was always screaming at us, don't run around the pool. You'll fall and hurt yourself. Like how many times she said that to us, like, don't do that. This is what's going to happen. And it did happen. Pretty much there was 3 of us. We all fell, and she's like, I told you were going to do that. I told you. And so
because she did tell you.
Because she did. Like she created, like I remember thinking, God, did mum create that? Like, did we co-create that together because she kept saying that? Like, I remember examining those sorts of things when you come to understand how powerful we are when we make statements. Like somebody, Mish, said, your word is your wand. And, I had Brandon on the show yabbering about your word is your wand. Your word is your wand when you believe it. So when your mother is screaming at you because she's scared that her children are going to get hurt, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of belief in that statement. Don't run, stop running around the pools. Don't run, because you'll hurt yourself. You'll hurt yourself. And so this was, a part of unraveling and examining how we create our reality, how the I am presence is present in everything we think and believe. Yeah.
Going back to parenting while you're scrolling through. Yeah, it's not funny.
Don't play lotto. You might win. Exactly. I don't know if you remember the Seinfeld episode where George can never get anything right, and he can't get a girlfriend, he can't get a job, and he's always hopeless. And then there was an episode where he said, I'm just going to do the opposite of everything I've done before. And he starts to be the opposite of everything. And everything falls into place for him. Like, that's exactly what you're saying. Instead of like wanting to win the lottery. Yeah. Like,
don't play the lotto. You might win.
You might win. Exactly, to the opposite.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, honey, just then?
Oh, just, I remember, I wanted to get things right when I was a young parent with young children. And I remembered, I've talked about this with my kids, in fact, and they say that they sit around with their friends because they're all young adults now. And they'll be like, so what was one rule you always had in your household when you were growing up? And they would share different things, always take your shoes off when you go inside. Don't leave dishes in. And they say, they've told me that they have told their friends the only rule they really remember was that I wouldn't let them call each other names. And I wouldn't even let my husband call them names. I wouldn't call them names. And I wouldn't let my husband call me names because we had a fight like the first couple weeks we were married. And I only remember the name he called me, but I didn't remember what the fight was over. Am I a horrible, swear word? I don't want to say it here, and it stuck through. And, the kids could be acting lazy and not getting stuff done, but I wouldn't let him say you're lazy because then, that becomes part of their belief system. Programming, and that's what I never wanted to happen to my kids, is for that, we beat up on ourselves enough. Why get it externally, right?
Yeah.
And so I had hoped that I would raise really, confident, amazing, children that, could do anything, but, they have their own programming,
they do, and they have their own healing journey.
Yes, they do.
I was the same. I remember being a young naturopathic student and hearing something along those lines, how repeatedly parents are telling us, we're stupid, we're this, we're that. And I remember making that commitment before I was pregnant, before I had a child, that I'd never do that to my child. I'd never do that to my child. And she'll grow up to be a healthy, confident.
We have such good intentions, but we're so human as well.
But, she attracts a lot of, dysfunctional relationships, and there's a lot of trauma, and she's constantly overcoming her emotional trauma. And I'm like, where did I go wrong? And then my guide said to me this one night, I was suffering over her suffering. Like, why can't she just attract a nice guy instead of these people that all have these problems? And they said to me, your daughter is a healer like you. And how is she going to know what healing is all about unless she directly experiences it? Her dysfunctional relationships is her university course on dysfunctional relationships and emotional trauma. If you've not offered her that emotional trauma growing up, she's going to find it elsewhere because she's a healer. And I'm like, damn, that makes so much sense.
It totally does.
It just made. There was this post, I was going to share it in the group, I haven't shared it yet, from someone who was in our Inner Sanctum group, who's a beautiful healer. And beautiful and very committed to her healing. And I remember her saying in the group often that she couldn't sort of hit on one particular, that like what therapy was she going to use to heal people, and she was exploring different therapies. And anyway, this year she's been through the cancer journey. And on that cancer journey, she explored many different therapies, including the allopathic therapy and, all the stuff that doctors like to do when you get cancer. But the guides were saying to me as I was reading her, because she posted it on Facebook, as I was reading her beautiful journey and what she went through this year, they were just reiterating that this cancer journey took her on that path of exploration of therapies. And how does she really know what works unless it's working on her? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can know something because you've studied it and you believe it to be true, but how do you really know it unless you've experienced it directly?
Well, that's why we're here on planet Earth anyway, right?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, and then you make your choices. It doesn't mean that any one particular therapy is better than another. It's just what you decide and what you learn. And what's Mish saying here? I'm proud of my son. We're all talking about our kids now. I'm proud of my son. He always struggles with schoolwork, etc. He heard a family member say once he's never going to amount to anything. Oh, I know. Those words changed him, and he has a very important job now. I know, Mish. I've got a nephew who's one of the new kids on the block. He just didn't do 3D school. You couldn't teach him to read or write, couldn't teach him maths, but so psychic and so creative. But because he was in 3D school, he was repeatedly told by his teachers he was dumb. Mm-hmm. And he will tell you, he's like, what is he now? He's like, he was born on September 11th, the day the towers came down. So how many years ago is that? 23, 24?
Well, it was 2001.
24 years ago, right. So he's now 24. And he'll still tell you he's dumb because it was so programmed into him. And there's nothing dumb about this kid. I've told him over and over again how brilliant he is, and he just laughs it off. He thinks I'm funny.
Yeah.
What did you?
She just said, she said, I'm proud of him because he didn't take on those words. He changed. He proved them wrong. So he used that as a catalyst to show them. It sounded like it was.
Yeah, I'll show you. He had Reiki healing during this time. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, the I am presence. So it's pointing to your subconscious beliefs. So be aware of what you're saying about yourself. I am. Because all of that, all the I ams, all the identities are really not the truth of who we are. The truth of who we are is that I harp on about it every show, but it's hard to really believe when you're experiencing the earth experience, when you're experiencing the physical body and the pains in your body and the emotions that you go through and the subconscious programming, and then you turn on the news and you see all the crap that's going on in the world. It's not, let me reiterate that. It's not so easy to believe in the truth of your divine essence and the bliss of who you are and the bliss. You know what I was listening to this morning? I was listening to the telepathy tapes and the season 2, and Kai is exploring what we're talking about coming from. I was listening to the near-death experience. I mean, that for me, we had near-death. We talked about that. For me, is coming back to the truth of who we are. So she had Eben Alexander on the show. There's not everybody that has a near-death experience of really feeling the love of our source. Some of them are hovering. There was one story she had on the show. There was a woman hovering in a hospital, and she comes back and tells the nurse about it. She said, "I saw this tennis shoe on the roof." That's
a very famous.
Is that a famous one? Mm-hmm. So she didn't necessarily talk about the love, but so many of the near-death experiences talk about this I am presence, I am love, I am the light, I am
I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth.
The truth. I am. Yeah, the I am presence. But when we're saying that and it feels like a lie, what is it that you're saying? Like, what's something that you believe about yourself that maybe you wouldn't like to?
We had this question in a group. We were playing this game, and that was a card that came up, and we had to go around the table and answer the card. And if you could snap your fingers and get rid of one limiting belief about yourself, what would it be? And we, through joking about it, because I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Did I screw up? I don't have an answer. I'm screwing up. I'm always in trouble. And that was it. I have this limiting belief that I'm always in trouble for something. Always. Yeah. Always. And I'd love to just snap and get rid of that one. And where does that come from? But it sticks with me. I never feel like I'm doing things right. Then there's those are those negative words. I never feel like I'm doing things right. Like, I should shift that,
I mean, I've known you for a long time now, and the "I'm sorry" does fly out of your mouth all the time. Like,
I'm better at it, though. I'm better at it.
You are much better. You much less "I'm sorry's" now, because it's like, I'm having trouble logging in. Instead of just dealing with it, you're like, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble. Like, sometimes we have trouble logging in. Sorry, but yeah, I'm in trouble. I'm sorry, I'm in trouble. Okay, so I got to tell you something. Was it last week on the show? I'm in time. The gratitude. Yeah, it was last week on the show. Right. So I did gratitude. And that we've discussed that together. I don't know, on the show, off the show. What's the limiting belief that you'd like to get rid of? Mm-hmm. And for me, the only one that really gets me upset is being overweight, right? Being fat. I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I'm so fat. I wish I could lose weight, and I never do. And when we spoke about being grateful for what what's troubling you, I asked the audience what was troubling you, and money and weight were the two biggest things that we were talking about on the gratitude show. So I started applying my own wisdom to myself, and instead of pushing against, like when I look in the mirror going, oh my God, I'm so fat, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, which is what I do constantly. Yeah. And when I think about appreciating being overweight, up until the show I did last week, it was really hard to appreciate it. So I was asking people to appreciate their trauma instead of pushing against it. What you resist persists. What you are grateful for will serve you as it was meant to. Mm-hmm. And when I tried to apply that to my own life, I found it really difficult. But after that show last week, I managed it. I managed to appreciate, being overweight rather than pushing against it. And I've had a profound shift, Kristen.
That's amazing.
I've had a profound, like, I'm looking in the mirror, I'm still the same size, but I'm not going, oh my God, you're so fat. I'm just like, that's me. Like, I'm in acceptance, like, that's who I am, rather than, oh, you're so fat, you're so fat. I know people on the video don't understand how fat I am because you don't see my body. But under this, I tell you, what's Mish saying here? I figured a bit of weight might help us live longer.
Well, I will say, we had some snow the other day, and not yesterday, but the day before. I slipped on the ice and landed flat on my bum and I
Right.
didn't break anything or bruise anything because it was really padded. And that doesn't always happen when one slips on the ice. So I laid there on the ground going, I'm actually okay. And I'm so glad that I have this padding right now. I
There you
really
go.
said that.
There you go. So let's apply it to I'm always in trouble. Like how has that belief about always in trouble, like think about where it came from. Maybe when you're a kid you were scolded, maybe it's a past life thing. It doesn't really matter where it comes from,
Right.
because it's active in your vibration. Instead of trying to overcome it or resist it or fix it or heal it, we can use the I am presence. Am I always in trouble? No. What am I really?
Right.
Like, what am I really? How has the belief I'm always in trouble helped you?
Yeah. Well, what I'm realizing now is that I'm I'm a little bit different person, and I do things a different way. And I was a little I'm smarter than I probably should have been at such a young age, and it threw people, and so they didn't know what to do with me. And
Yeah.
and what I take that to mean now is actually I do know what I'm doing. Actually, I am not in trouble, and the way that I do it is actually really great. And it doesn't really matter. And this is what it comes down to, is that it doesn't really matter what other people think. It matters what I think. It doesn't matter what people think of my weight. It matters what I think. And I'm grateful for that padding the other day.
Yeah.
And and I'm grateful that I have this beautiful body. A good friend of mine the other day, her and I were talking, and she has some of these similar struggles we're talking about. And she says that she lays in bed, and every morning I thank my toes, I thank my ankles, I thank my calves. Like, she goes all the way up to the tip of her head, that she just thanks it. I thank you. And you don't even have to put words to it. And it shifts it. But that feeling of always being in trouble, I did find out through a reading that I do carry that from previous lives of living in
I know.
perfectionism.
Well, actually, I'm seeing your classic being persecuted for thinking differently, like
Yes.
the burnt at the stake, the witch hunt
I
type,
hear that all the time when they read past
right.
things.
And so what I'm seeing as I'm tuning into you about the I'm always in trouble is it's what you're saying. It's like, I think differently. I think outside the status quo. I think outside the box, and people don't understand me.
No.
And so in order to fit in, I need to apologize for who I am, because I'm a way shower. I'm a game changer. I'm a disruptor. I'm a light worker. I'm not here to fit in.
Right.
I'm here to stand out, and I'm here to change the game of planet Earth. I've tried it many times in past lives before, and I've been persecuted for it. I've been killed for it. And so I don't want to be killed for it. I don't want to be persecuted this time. So I'm going to apologize, for being a way shower. I remember I had the beautiful Honey. Oh God, what was her name? I was talking about her with someone on the show the other day. Honey, who passed away recently, and she was saying, change the I'm crazy, I'm woo-woo to I'm extraordinary. Like, I'm woo-woo, I think outside the box, I'm strange, people don't understand me, I'm woo-woo, or I'm crazy, people think I'm crazy, I'm crazy. Change it to I'm extraordinary. I'm extraordinary.
Yeah.
I think about this all the time. I don't always practice it, but I live it mostly. But I do kind of buy into limiting beliefs about feeling like I'm ostracized by the mainstream because they just don't get me.
Yeah.
And but I think about the conversation I'm having when we return to source, and people, like, I've got a lot of dead friends, like lots of them, they totally get me when they die. They're like, oh my God, this is who you are. I wish I understood you better while I was still on Earth, but I was buying into the social norms. I was buying into the status quo, and you didn't fit into the status quo. And so I just pushed you away because I didn't understand you. But not being understood is like how we change the systems, right?
Yeah.
And this is something I was trying to relate to my nephew, born on September 11. like he came in as a disruptor, as many of the kids do that are on the spectrum or that are just don't do 3D school. Like you just couldn't teach him to read or write or do math. You just couldn't teach him 3D school. And to tell him how special he is and that he's here to change the system. I was having this conversation. I was at their place the other day, and maybe it's sinking in because the system is pushing against him. And I said, but you've come to change the system because the system no longer works. And when there are so many of you that don't do 3D school, then 3D school has to change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And thank you so much for that insight, because it really resonated that your guides brought in and your mob and you. But I have recently, in the last few months, while working on that specific thing, is the truth of the matter is I don't really like fitting in. I look at a bunch of people that are fitting in or all the norm. I prefer to be a little more abstract, a little different. Like I prefer it. And I've realized I would be really good friends with me if I met me somewhere. And I would think I was pretty cool. Like I would want to, and I want people like that. Like I love being friends with you, Karen, even outside of this thing. And so maybe with your friend's son, the young man, it would be like, do you really want to be just like all the rest of them? And some children do. They want to be the conformers, and maybe that's their path in this life, is to learn, following or being a follower. I don't know, but do you really want to be that person? Do you really want to be like everybody else in your class?
He absolutely
doesn't. I mean, be the person you want to be friends with, right?
He absolutely does it, and he surrounds himself with people that don't also. But with the younger generation, when they don't fit into the social norms, they believe that rebellion against the social norms by being more grungy, like more tattoos, more grungy, more up-yous, more F-yous, like that sort of energy, that rebellion energy is where he went because he didn't fit in. And how long can you sustain that? Because that's not an energy you can sustain for very long. You don't agree with
it's pretty dark and heavy when it's
you don't have to push against the system. I mean, if you don't agree with the system. This is something that Abraham talks about through Esther and Jerry Hicks, channelings of Abraham. When we want something, the dominant energy is pushing it, that we usually hold as pushing against what we don't want instead of focusing on what we do want. And so as creators of our own reality, when we want something, okay, I'm looking for examples. Okay, say you're sick and you feel like crap and you're in pain and you want to be well, but all you can think about is how bad you feel. And all you can talk about is how bad you feel. And all you can talk about is how terrible it is. And I don't want to feel like this. I don't want this. And so we're pushing against rather than focusing. And so again, when you're a change maker, a difference maker, and you see what you disagree with in the world, how much time do you spend fighting it, pushing against it, rebelling against it, rather than focusing on who you want to be in the world, or what you want to see in the world, or how you want this world to change, and how much do you live that? And that is the very potency of being a deliberate creator, is focusing on what you do want instead of pushing against what you don't. But they're all there on the spectrum. And what part of the spectrum are you on? What part of the spectrum are you on?
And then we're emanating whatever part of the spectrum we are on out into the world. So if we are being more of that I am, that gratitude, then that's what we're putting out around us. And that's how we're change makers as well. And I've come to find, like, well, if somebody is pushing up against me, then that's their problem. It's not mine anymore. And that's, comes with age and experience and learning to accept myself for me. And
I mean, you've really explored this being a change maker, a difference maker, and stepping outside social norms just in your life, like where you live. You live in Utah. There's a big, what do you call it, Mormon LDS? What's the L? What's the initials? What are they?
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You're supposed to say the whole thing.
Okay. Well, there's a
just
huge
say Mormon.
Community
Mormon Mecca.
there.
I call it Mormon Mecca.
Mormon Mecca, that really controls the community there in such a big way. I've watched a couple of, there's a show on Netflix I watched a few years ago called Green. explores all that. Anyway, and then you step outside of it. You leave that church and you step outside of those social norms, and people, think you're crazy, think you're woo-woo, think you're insane. So you've really chosen to explore that in this lifetime as well. I'd say coming from past lifetimes. And to really, so that being in trouble thing, it's not surprising. It's not surprising that you hold that. And what are you saying here? Like, I want to be me and better. Why do you want to be better? Just be you as you are. What are you saying here? Yeah, I stop people and show them their destructive ways and show them how it can be done better, but that's not really wanted. Yeah, it's not wanted until it is wanted, I've got to say. And Mish says she's amazingly different. And did you put these up before? I don't know if you put these up before.
I didn't. I didn't. I was waiting because you were.
Michelle says, my girlfriend who isn't into any of this, when she goes number 2, she puts her problems in it and flushes them away. That's funny. She's very prim and proper too.
That's a great practice. Honestly, that is a release. That is how our body gets rid of stuff. So I feel like going to the restroom is definitely a release as well of negative things. So
what's this? Is this a question, Heidi? Does help, I believe, in other minds, thoughts, shifts too.
I think she's talking about gratitude being a game changer.
Yeah. So the power of the I am presence. Let's do a station ID break. We've got about 20 minutes left of the show. So you're listening to Elevate the Awareness Shift, Waking the Quantum Self with Karen and Kristen, and we're on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 103.5 syndicated radio, streaming out of the Gulf Coast and New Orleans on the public radio networks. And we're talking about the power of the I am present. So I'm going to put this back up on the stage. Here we go. Did I put that on before? Focus on your I am present and what that really means. Most people, when they focus on their I am present, just like Vladdy was saying in the comments before, don't focus on the magnificence of who they are as the truth of who you are, but focus on their program belief systems. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'll never get that done. I haven't got enough time. I. How can we use the I am present? We're talking about that. That's what we're talking about. That's the whole show today, how we can use the I am present, the I am method properly. There's really no method to the I am. It's just a statement. When you make the statement, I am, it's revealing what you believe about yourself. And your reality is based on your beliefs. There is no fixed reality of truth in this world. The fixed reality of truth is I am the way, I am the light, I am the love. That's the fixed reality of truth. But in this world, we're exploring the many vast and myriad different ways we can create who we believe ourselves to be. I am. And there's something I love about the transgender and the movement. Everyone's arguing about it, especially in the States. Well, actually in Australia too, they're arguing about, male and female but we're really mixing it up with the younger generation, especially. They don't identify with the two sexes because there's this merging of unity where the defining, like, females are like this and men are like that, women do this and men do that, it doesn't apply anymore. And so if you're a sensitive, soft, psychic, creative male, then you may feel more female. Or if you're a bold, strong, boisterous, woman, and you like to take charge and you're into sport and stuff like that, you might feel more male. But these ideas of what we think male and female are, they were all kind of made up too, right? We make them up. Like I said on one of the shows that we did, you humans make stuff up and then you believe it. Yeah, we do. We make stuff up and then we believe it.
I have gone through a phase in the last year where I don't resonate a ton with, my divine masculine side and my divine feminine side. And I want to just say I'm divine. Like I'm just divinity, because the divine feminine isn't always soft and gooey. She's a fierce warrior. The mama bear is the last thing you ever want to meet in the forest with her cubs, is a fierce mama bear. And so they really are, there's both sides of that coin in both the male and the female. So I just would rather say I'm divine instead of divine masculine and my divine feminine. Instead of, I'm just getting in touch with my divinity.
Exactly. Or unity, really. Instead of saying I'm more male and female, I'm more masculine or feminine, I'm a feminine person, I'm a masculine person, just say I'm a unified person. I'm unified. I mean, I love it, in the Thyba prophecy. So Michel de Marquet, an Australian French man's taken to a planet, a 9th category planet, and the ETs, I call them ETs, the humanoids that live on this planet are 9 foot tall, hermaphroditic humanoids, hermaphrodites. So they physically embody both the male and female physical attributes of what it is to be human. And he was on the spaceship with them, and they had long hair, and they all had mammary glands, boobs, for those people who don't know what mammary glands are. And he said to them, like, why is everyone female on your planet? And they laughed and they said, no, we're not all female. We're hermaphrodites. We've got both going on. And I just love that evolution. We kind of move out of the separation of sexes into a more unified, what we would call, because hermaphrodites still, exist on Earth with genetic malformations in babies born with both genders, both sex genders, but we call them deformed. Maybe they're not deformed, maybe they're evolved.
Yeah. Well, I have transgender children, and I just look at them and go, wow, you wanted to explore both in this lifetime.
Right.
And look at you embody both. So, I'm very open-minded to that, because first of all, I have no idea what it's like to be inside their, whatever their soul's going through in that body. I have no idea. So I just, accept whatever it is they're going through and do what I can, to be a safe place for them, because the world is kind of rough on people like that, like you were saying before, both in Australia, here, and I'm sure all over the world. But I just look at what a brave soul they are, that they're like, oh, you're going to take them on both,
Yeah, you dare to be different.
Yeah. I mean, there's days where I want to dress up a little more tailored and I wear clunkier shoes, and maybe that's my masculine side. I don't know, but it doesn't stick, and I don't feel like it changes everything about my femininity. So I don't know, I just rather clue into my divinity, my unity, like you said. So, yeah.
So getting back to Vladdy's question, how can we use the I am method properly? Again, there's no method to use properly, but every time you find yourself making a statement of I am this, like, stop and be aware of it, and then decide if you want that to be your truth. So I think that we've explored this too. If you say the exact opposite of it, often feels like a lie. So when you look in the mirror and you say, I'm overweight, or I'm fat, or I don't like myself, and you say, no, I'm thin and beautiful, and you're looking in the mirror and you're not seeing thin and beautiful, then that feels like a lie. You have to find a thought that feels like a truth, but feels better than the current statement, moving up that emotional scale incrementally. And that's how you use the I am presence to change your reality, putting emotion behind the statement that feels like your truth. That's why affirmations so often don't work when you believe something, but you say the opposite, you affirm the opposite. It just establishes that that's a lie. Like when you've got no money in your bank account and you're in debt and you're feeling really poor, and then somebody says, say, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. And so you keep saying, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. But there's no money in my bank account. And making that statement's not changing my bank account. It's not paying my bills.
Who tells the story? I can't remember, but it's somebody like the Abraham Hicks team. And they say that somebody was manifesting, and they wanted somebody, and they wanted him to be rich. And so she came back a year later to whatever, conference, and said, I did. I met a man and his name's Rich. And he has no money. But she was infinitely happy with this man. I wish I could remember. It's like an Abraham Hicks, or I don't remember who tells that story, but it's one of those big prominent, world traveling speakers.
I have many clients like that. One client I had years ago, she did a 6-week course with me, 6-week, where she was having a session every week. And so her dream at that time, was a while ago, was to find a lover, have a child, and make a difference. I'm like, okay, not asking much. So we worked on her subconscious belief systems and on turning them around, because she had been on dating apps and she was meeting all these, people she didn't like. I'm not going to use any bad words. People she didn't like, and she was so exhausted and so over it. And feeling the ticking time bomb of, I'm never going to have children because I'm getting too old, and yada, yada, yada. There's a whole lot of reasons why, a whole lot of beliefs that she had why she wasn't going to get what she wanted. So anyway, after the 6 weeks or so that we were together, her life hadn't changed, like everything hadn't changed. The man of her dreams hadn't walked into her life. And she was kind of upset with me because she wanted me to be the reason that her life was going to change. But I gave her a whole lot of things to practice thinking instead of what she believed about herself. And, we live in this buffer of time, and it's really dependent on you believing it. So repetition helps. But when you repeat something that you don't believe once, or even twice, or even 3 times, or even over 6 weeks, it might not establish as your truth, but eventually it does if you just keep repeating it and keep putting emotion behind why it is your truth, coming up with reasons why it is your truth. So a few weeks after we had our time together, she contacted me to say that she had met this man. His wife had died, and he had a kid with some physical or mental problems, and she was madly in love with him. And she felt like she was making such a difference to this child, because now she had taken the place of the mother in this child's life. And so all those things that she wanted came together with meeting one man. Yeah, so that I want to make a difference, I want a child, and I want a lover. Like, she met the man who had the child. She became the mother to the child because the mother had done, and the child needed help. And so she felt like she was really making a difference. And it was such a beautiful story, because the universe can deliver to you everything you want on one platter when you align with it, when you believe it, when you stop telling yourself why you can't have it. What time is it? When you stop saying, using the I am presence to create the reality you don't want. I'm sick and tired. I can't meet anybody. All men are bastards. Like, there are no men out there. I'm getting too old. I can't have what I want. I'm too old to have a child. I don't make a difference. I don't know how to make a difference. I am. And start changing that around. Like, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how powerful you are. Thinking makes it so. I keep posting Joe Dispenza stuff on my Facebook page because he just puts all this stuff out. What did I post recently? Something. Let me go to my Facebook page. I posted this from Abraham Hicks. We're going to drop a bomb on you. Genetics is thought. Nothing is inherited. It is all thought. Nothing is born unto you through your blood. It is born unto you through your thoughts. Yeah, but we do inherit thoughts. We inherit belief systems. But it is all thought. Negative emotion is your indicator of resistance. It's not a bad thing. It's guidance. I've said that about 1 million times in my life. Where's Joe? Joe puts this out. Joe Dispenza. I don't know. I can't. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. So what needs to change? Your thinking. Yeah. Change your thoughts, change your life. Change your thoughts, change your life.
And truthfully, when I think about it, that's the least expensive, easiest way to change everything.
Right.
It doesn't cost me any money. It's just a moment of time in a shift, an immediate shift in my thinking, and it doesn't affect anybody negatively. And it's just my own thing. So, I'd love to have a college degree, right? Well, that costs money, but I could just shift and think where I am and what I do and who I am without that, and let that go. That costs me nothing.
Yeah, I don't know why you want a college degree. I don't see anything in university that's going to change the world. I remember
No.
studying naturopathy for 5 years full time when I was in my 20s, having spent every last cent studying it because it wasn't a part of university curriculum back then, but it is now. Having spent 5 years full time and feeling at the end of it that I didn't learn anything, it was going to change the world. But I did think to myself, why didn't I learn this in school? I think it's very important information, but it should have been fundamentally taught in our school systems how to take care of the body and about diet and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I had this woman on the show who's since left her body in her 90s, an Australian psychic and spiritual teacher, and she used to channel a guide called Al Chiringa, and I can't remember her name. She left the planet a couple of years ago. And she said, I never went to school, 3D school, to learn anything I knew. I went to the universe city. The universe city. The university. I went to the city of the universe to learn everything. And I thought that's where the most potent knowledge is. It's in the universe city, not in the universities here on Earth, in the 3D schools. It's in our, you know, that our connection to infinite intelligence. And even the scientists. Yeah, again, I was listening to Eben Alexander, a celebrated scientist, neuroscientist, talking about his universe city when he was in the universe and his near-death experience, and all those accolades and all that knowledge that he'd learned from being a scientist here on Earth was nothing compared to what he experienced in his near-death experience, like nothing. Yeah. But yeah, I really wish that the universities here on Earth, or the schools here on Earth, would start teaching things like telepathy, start talking about it in a more fundamental way, start getting with the program, you know, so we can join our cosmic family. And I'm just going to quote another quote before we go. When will our consciousness grow so tender that we will act to prevent humanity's misery rather than to avenge it? That was something Eleanor Roosevelt said. When will our consciousness grow so tender that we will act to prevent human misery rather than avenge it?
Right.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm trying to find Joe. Maybe it's on Instagram that I see all Joe's stuff. Joe Dispenza. He's always talking about the power of the mind. Yeah, now I can't find it on my Facebook. But yeah, anything else? Yeah, let's check out your I Am drum. Let's talk about the I Am drum.
Okay. Heidi says I always enjoy and I'm grateful for these chit chats.
I love how you call them chit chats, Heidi.
Yeah. So I started going to drum circles when I kind of came out of the spiritual closet and was just looking for community. And, but and they say it's okay if you don't have a drum because your heart is your drum. And that was fine. But I really wanted a drum, but I would see these drums that people had and they looked all like swirly, hippie, whatever, and all these bright colors. And I'm not a bright color person, all stuff. And then the person that was facilitating these drum circles posted a picture and a story of this drum. And it's actually quite huge. And it's a man-made drum or a vegan drum, if you want to say that.
A vegan drum.
Yeah. And she had taken it to this conference and she had her son, she's a painter, and she had her son put his handprint on there and written, if you can kind of see it, it says truth. So I know it's showing it backwards, but it says truth. And then she did some type of facilitating at this conference, but she also spoke. And it was a conference like Malika Chopra was at. Like, it was a really big deal. But she had this sitting out at her table, and she would have people walk by and add their own I am statement. I am a healer, teacher. Somebody said perfect imperfection, and some would sign their name. I believe peace, passion, perfection, all over. I can't remember where Malika's is. I'll have to post it somewhere. But she said they would write it on here, and then they would wrap it. And you would hear it all through the hall where the conference was. And she said that the tone changed every time somebody would wrap it. I just got chills hitting it because I haven't hit it like that for some time. But she said that the tone would change every time somebody would write their statement on there, say it, and then wrap the drum. And so when she posted the story, I was like, that's my drum. For whatever reason, that's my drum. So, you know, she took payments, and like most artists do, they'll negotiate, and she took payments. And so now I have this drum, and I've taken it to a couple retreats that I facilitated at, and I've had people add theirs, and mine is over here, and it says, I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth, I am. That's mine.
Is that yours?
Yes.
I am extraordinary. I'm I am a difference maker.
Yeah. And it's just beautiful. But when I show up at drum circles, and sometimes it's time, and I'm told to take this drum, and I'll walk in and I'll wrap it. And my friend, Katie Jo, an extraordinary woman, she says, oh, I hear that drum. She knows it. She knows the sound of that drum. And she knows, Kristen's here with that drum that I made and took to that conference. So I love it. I absolutely love it.
Beautiful. We've run out of time.
Yeah.
Is this coming up? Is this showing up?
It's I don't know.
I'm trying to share something. No, it didn't work. I'm trying to share my screen. Browser can't access your screen. Oh, okay. I found a Joe Dispenza quote. It is significantly proven that the body can heal by thought alone. Actually, I think that's the only way the body does heal. We believe it's the therapy or the doctor or the operation or the thing we're doing, but it's our belief in the thing we're doing that creates the difference. Yeah, whether you believe it or not, you will be right. Coming back to Henry Ford, that spiritual guru. I mean, he knew this because he was a success in his life, and he was just talking about being successful and making money. Like whether you believe you'll achieve or be successful, or whether you believe you won't, you will be right. But he realized that how powerful your thinking is simply by being successful in what he was pursuing. I am successful. Hey, Shirley. We got to go. We've run out of time. We're a minute over time. Well, this was fun. Love you big time. Thanks, everyone. Use that I am presence. What are you saying? What is your statement of I am? I am, I am, I am. Get on a drum, write it on a board, put it on a computer, write who you really are. I am this. I'm successful. I'm a way shower. I'm a difference maker. I'm a star seed. I'm galactic. I am the way. I am the love. I am the truth. Love you big time.